What's going on? This is Theo Gremminger, aka the OG Fantasy, back at it. Waiver Wire editions, week 9. Already in week 9. Wild times. The season is just flying by, but we're here. It's almost November. I'm recording this on Halloween. Happy Halloween for everybody going out there with their kids tonight. I'm going to be out there trick-or-treating in a couple hours here, but first we got to get to our Waiver Wire editions. Bye weeks are back. Got to get ready for those. This is doable. But we know that there's 4 teams on bye. It's no bye-mageddon, but it's still a very, very annoying week. Detroit being on a bye is crushing. No Sam Laporta, no Sun God, no Jahmyr Gibbs, no David Montgomery, no Jared Goff for a lot of you. Jacksonville is also on a bye. Travis Etienne playing fantastic football. No Christian Kirk, no Trevor Lawrence. San Francisco, no Christian McCaffrey, no George Kittle, no Brandon Ayuk. Hopefully Deebo Samuel gets a little healthy during the bye week. And no Denver Broncos either. So we really want to get ready. And then taking a look, week 10, Kansas City Chiefs, LA Rams, Miami Dolphins, Philadelphia Eagles, and week 11, Atlanta, Indianapolis, New England, and New Orleans. So we want to try to be a week ahead when dealing with these bye weeks. So, maybe take a look, make sure you have your defense, your kicker, if you've been streaming the tight end position or you've been streaming quarterbacks, make sure you're prepared for at least 1 week out, preferably 2 weeks out. That can sometimes be difficult, but what you don't want to get to is a bye week where you have to worry about all these one-off positions because you didn't plan accordingly. So take a look. My article, which is going to be linked right here on this video, I list all these teams that are on a bye. We got to start at the quarterback position when talking about some of these waiver wire ads for this week. Shallow league ad available in 63% of Yahoo leagues. That's Derek Carr. Carr has passed for 300 or more yards in 3 consecutive games. He's got Alvin Kamara out of the backfield. Rashid Shaheed is red hot. Chris Olave has been disappointing, but the air yards and the target share are there. Michael Thomas still healthy. And now New Orleans faces off against Minnesota and Chicago. So he's got the matchups. He's playing well. If you need a streamer, consider Derek Carr. Will Levis. Where do we even begin with Will Levis? I'm going to take a major L. I doubted Will Levis. I was recommending the Atlanta Falcons defense as a streamer. I still think they're interesting this week with Minnesota at the quarterback change. But Will Levis, we hear all week long how it's going to be Will Levis splitting time with Malik Willis. Malik Willis ends up with 2 rushing attempts, and Levis just goes nuclear. Finishes with 4 touchdown passes. This is the first 4-touchdown performance by a rookie since Marcus Mariota. Levis looked like he had a cannon for an arm, and he connected with DeAndre Hopkins on 3 of his touchdown passes. I love seeing the kind of tunnel vision and him willing to connect with DeAndre Hopkins. We love seeing that. Like when these younger quarterbacks are willing to go to their alpha wide receiver and kind of not mess around, that's usually probably the best course of action. I think a lot of times when these quarterbacks start trying to spread it around too much, that can lead to turnovers. So Levis wisely targets DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins goes nuts. But we have to talk about like Levis. He had a cannon of an arm. Like 3 of his touchdown passes were for 30+ yards. I think it would be very easy to discount this performance from Will Levis, but we're going to learn a lot more. Like this game against Pittsburgh this week is a difficult one for a young player to do a quick turnaround and face a tough team in the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially a team like Pittsburgh coming off of a loss. And Tampa Bay is also a sneaky tough game for Tennessee. 3 weeks from now, he gets to play against Jacksonville, which should be a nice positive matchup for him. But like Will Levis appears to be the long-term answer at quarterback for the Titans. And short-term, I think he's a locked-in like mid QB2 based on the strength of his arm. And he looked comfortable in that pocket. So I'm going to take a big L. I should have been more bullish on Will Levis. And he's here. I think that discounting him is not really the way to go. I think you have to look at this sort of performance and say, what if it's not a fluke? And what if this is something like a harbinger of weeks to come and he's going to have multiple, 2-touchdown games, maybe a 3-touchdown game in there. Like depending on how your bye weeks are looking, And depending on how you are at the quarterback position, Will Levis could come in handy. And if you're in a super flex league and Will Levis is somehow out there, you got to make it rain because Will Levis is a really, really strong addition in super flex. Bryce Young also showed improvement. I think he's a guy for super flex managers to consider. He's available in 88% of Yahoo leagues. 2 manageable matchups in a row for Bryce Young. Indianapolis Colts and Chicago are his next 2. For single QB leagues, Gardner Minshew, he came down to earth. He's coming off of a 4-touchdown game, goes up against a difficult defense in the New Orleans Saints, but Minshew still manages to throw 2 touchdown passes. This is what we like to see from our QB2s, guys that are able to put up at least get you through the week type numbers in games where they're not playing great. I love the consolidation in Indianapolis as well, where you've got Minshew being able to target Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, and then you have the two-headed backfield monster right now in Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss, both playing very well. So I like Minshew. I'm going to use him as a streamer in a couple of spots this week. Also, we got to talk about Baker Mayfield. Mayfield went up against a tough Buffalo defense, passed for 2 touchdowns, finishes with 256 combined yards, gets through the week, connects with Chris Godwin, connects with Mike Evans. He's playing through a knee injury, but he continues to put up QB2 numbers. So like Baker Mayfield, if you're in a super flex league, is locked in. He's available in 70% of Yahoo leagues. And then we talk about matchup-based guys. Washington has been the defense that we have been targeting consistently for our quarterback streamers. Washington has given up a 300 or more passing yard performance in 6 out of 7 games. So Mac Jones is firmly on the radar. I realize Kendrick Bourne is injured. I realize Mac Jones has not been playing great, but he passed for 2 touchdowns in consecutive games. Now he faces off against a defense that's just been getting shredded, and Washington trades Montez Sweat and Chase Young at the trade deadline. Washington, especially on the defensive side of the ball, is heading south. New England is sneaky here, and I think Jones could end up having a pretty big game passing the ball. Running backs, if Zach Charbonnet is available in your league, he's a top addition this week. He's available in 58% of Yahoo leagues. He had a season-high 64 combined yards, and Ken Walker is dealing with a calf injury. If Walker misses time, Charbonnet's a top 15 back. I think it's fairly cut and dry when dealing with Charbonnet here. If he's available, go get him. The only player that I would say would be a priority over Charbonnet potentially is if you're really hurting at tight end and like Trey McBride is out there. If not, if Zach Charbonnet's in your league, go get him. He's in a great situation, especially if Walker misses some time, and his usage is trending up. He also saw more work on 3rd down and in 2-minute offense. It had been like a mix of getting some DJ's Dallas in there. It's all Charbonnet in there. So Walker struggled to practice last week. He played. This is not great for Walker right now. Let's see if he gets healthy. But if Walker misses time, again, Charbonnet is like a top 12 to 15 play at the position with the goal line work, with the 2-minute offense work, with the 3rd down passing back work. Like he's a 3-down back. Amari DiMercato, another shallow league addition. 64% of Yahoo leagues, Amari DiMercato is still available. He had a season-high 20 carries in Arizona's loss to Baltimore, which is a little different for him. We've seen the passing game involvement for DiMercato. That wasn't really there against Baltimore, but the 20 carries show that he's a big part of the weekly game plan. He's a flex consideration because of his high-volume touches until James Conner returns. And there's like not been a whole lot of clarity on James Conner and when he'll return from injury. So DiMercato is definitely interested. Again, available in 64% of Yahoo leagues. Pierre Strong. Now, Pierre Strong is available in 90% of Yahoo leagues. He had a season-high 11 touches and 82 combined yards, including a 41-yard catch this past week. Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford, and Jerome Ford was not supposed to play, and Jerome Ford, comes back and plays, shows a lot of toughness doing that. but Pierre Strong got a increased opportunity and he did well with it. Again, he had 11 touches, 82 combined yards. He's the healthiest Cleveland Browns running back, and he's producing. His role could continue to grow, and he can be flexed if Hunt or Ford miss time. And like Pierre Strong has a ton of contingent upside. If Hunt or Ford were to miss, like I think Strong could maybe be an RB2. He's got some juice to him and explosiveness. And he's a guy that I liked as a prospect. So that's a guy that I'm really looking to get if he's available in some of my. Devin Singletary, 12 touches, not a whole lot of production. Continues to split the backfield with Dameon Pierce. He's available in 80% of Yahoo leagues. He's a low ceiling option, but his role, I think, could continue to grow. Again, like Houston really struggled on offense against Carolina. That game was a low scoring game, but I think Singletary's trending up and he could be a helpful player during bye weeks. Royce Freeman, available in 78% of Yahoo leagues. He had 21 carries and 110 yards over his last two games, and he finds the end zone against Dallas. He will see a weekly role behind Darrell Henderson until Kyron Williams returns from the IR. Freeman could also get like more touches, and Henderson, for that matter, could have more involvement if Matthew Stafford cannot play this week. Elijah Mitchell. Mitchell is available in 73% of Yahoo leagues. He passed Jordan Mason on the depth chart. Like Elijah Mitchell, to me, is the number 2 back in San Francisco. It's really telling at this point. He's not getting the touches. It's been the Christian McCaffrey show. But if McCaffrey were to miss time, I think it's going to be Mitchell. Leonard Fournette. Fournette makes the top 3 overall in my rankings. This is a guy that's available in 96% of Yahoo leagues. He appeared in this column like a couple of weeks in a row because I speculated he could land somewhere. I didn't know he'd be landing with Buffalo. Like Buffalo's a fantastic landing spot for him. Fournette is better than Latavius Murray. He's an improvement over Murray, and Latavius Murray is 33 years old. Damian Harris is on the injured reserve. Fournette is the best goal line back on this offense immediately, and he's a threat to James Cook getting targets out of the backfield. This is a great landing spot for Fournette. I know there's concerns about him being in shape, but that's the kind of guy that we definitely want to take a shot on this waiver wire, especially this week where the wire is really not that strong. But I see people kind of brushing aside this Fournette signing. Like Fournette, to me, this is a great landing spot. The quality of the offense is there. The opportunity is there. Playoff Lenny could be back. It might take him a couple weeks to get acclimated, but this is a guy that I'm looking to grab as many places. This is also a great time of year when running backs start to break down to roster your opponent's handcuffs. And if you have the starting running back with some of these guys listed, if you can swing it, handcuffing your running backs this time of year makes a lot of sense, especially for guys that are locked in starters for you and important pieces for your fantasy teams. Right now, Tank Bigsby is available in 88% of Yahoo leagues. Zamir White is available in 97%. Rico Dowdle available in 97%. Michael Carter available in 99% of them. And Joshua Kelly is available in 72% of them. Like all 5 of these guys would be the number 1 waiver wire ad in this column if the back in front of them went down in any particular week. Josh Kelly did not do so well when he had opportunities to himself, but he still is in a very good offense, and he's the clear handcuff. So Tank Bigsby, Zamir White, Rico Dowdle, Michael Carter, Joshua Kelly, these are guys to hold even if you only hold them for 1 week, just in case there's any injuries to the running backs in front of them. Wide receiver-wise, this is actually kind of like an interesting week. There's not like a whole lot of like slam dunk additions, but most of the players I'm talking about are younger kind of upside picks. Demario Douglas, this is a guy that I talked about in my sleepers column. I had him on our waiver wire column last week. I had him in our top 10 last week, and this week he's at the very top. He's number 2 this week, but he's right up there. Demario Douglas, sadly, Kendrick Bourne tore his ACL. Demario Douglas, like out of the slot for New England, is going to see a lot of work. Like, it's just a matter of time before we start seeing 10 touches for Demario Douglas in a game. He's got speed. He's got the juice. New England has a complete lack of offensive skill position weapons. Demario Douglas is a guy who I would highly prioritize this week. I think he's going to put up wide receiver 3 numbers this week against Washington with a chance at making a couple of really big plays. The rushing attempts also kind of insulate him and give him a floor. Khalil Shakir. Khalil Shakir is available in 99% of Yahoo leagues. Demario Douglas available in 97% of Yahoo leagues. So these guys are available even in some very deep formats. But Khalil Shakir has emerged from like the logjam at Buffalo's wide receiver 3. He's starting to see an increased work and noticeable production increase. Buffalo's also, when they lost Dawson Knox, they started going with more 3 wide receiver sets with a single tight end. So that's paved the way for Shakir to see the field a lot more. And in Thursday's win against Tampa Bay, he had season highs of 6 targets, 6 receptions, and 92 receiving yards. Shakir's only in his second year, so he's got some unknown upside to him. But he had a 65% snap share and an 18% target share. So if those two numbers go up just a little bit, he becomes very, very interesting because of the quality of this offense and obviously the quality of Josh Allen at quarterback. Shakir can be a bye-week fill-in at the very least. So he's going to be a guy that you want to get. This is not a great waiver wire, so go ahead and get yourself some Khalil Shakir. A guy that I'm consistently talking about in this waiver wire column is Jayden Reed. Reed had a career-high 83 receiving yards, and he had 6 targets. This was his highest total since week 3. He was a second-round draft pick, and he's flashed at times this year, and he appears to have a growing role in the Green Bay offense. I like Jayden Reed a lot this week. Again, not a great week, but if Jayden Reed is available, go and get him, and you can stash him and kind of see where this thing goes. Michael Wilson. So Arizona trades Josh Dobbs. To me, this means Kyler Murray is going to be back soon. Michael Wilson could see an increase in production when Kyler Murray returns. Wilson can be like a guy that you're going to stick in as like a high upside flex. He had 58 receiving yards in Sunday's loss to Baltimore, and he's had a number of these games where it's like production, but you can't really use him. But Michael Wilson, again, is a rookie. He has size. He has athleticism. We've seen him have a 2-touchdown game. He did that against Dallas. So Michael Wilson's one that I'm definitely interested in as a stash. Jonathan Mingo. Michael Wilson had the 2-touchdown game against San Francisco. I was just thinking about that when I tried to move over to Mingo. That was just killing me for a second. Michael Wilson, 2 touchdowns against San Francisco. Against Dallas, he had that long reception down the field, which helped Arizona get the win. Jonathan Mingo, a lot like Michael Wilson, this is a guy that we want to stash and kind of see where this goes. But Carolina was looking for a secondary target, and it feels like Mingo is going to get that opportunity. Carolina beats Houston, and Jonathan Mingo finishes with a season-high 62 receiving yards. He was second to Adam Thielen in catches, yardage, and targets among all Carolina receivers. Mingo was a second-round pick. He's got the size. He's got the athleticism. Let's see where this goes. If you're in a super deep format, Jamison Crowder is one to keep an eye on, just in case Curtis Samuel can't go. Crowder had 7 targets, 7 catches, 95 receiving yards, and a touchdown. Only deep leagues need to consider Crowder. This game kind of feels like a one-off, but the production was definitely there, and Sam Howell is supporting multiple weapons a week. Another deep league potential addition, Trey Palmer. If Chris Godwin or Mike Evans miss time, Palmer would see a huge increase in snaps. Tight end position, Trey McBride, easily my number 1 waiver wire addition this week. His ascent has been rapid. Tight end 1 for the rest of the season for me, and I think he's got top 6 potential. He had a Travis Kelce-like 10 catches for 95 yards and a touchdown. He was targeted 14 times, which is just wild. That was a 39% target share. Like, don't overthink this one. Bid aggressively for him. He was the second-round draft pick in last year's draft. He's a second-year tight end. This is a guy who Arizona is looking at as the long-term answer and the short-term answer, and he's also got a chance to be the number 2 target in the offense. When Kyler Murray returns, like Trey McBride could be very, very good. I mean, he showed it last week. Don't overthink it. Number 1 waiver wire ad this week. He's available in 80% of Yahoo leagues. Michael Mayer and Luke Musgrave. These have been frustrating guys. We've seen it from both. These guys are both second round tight ends, and the consistency has not been there. Also with both offenses, you've seen both offenses struggling. But if I'm looking to add a tight end 2 whose role can grow in the second half of the year, Michael Mayer and Luke Musgrave. Mayer is available in 81% of Yahoo leagues. Musgrave is available in 78% of Yahoo leagues. Neither one did anything this past week. And Michael Mayer has to deal with Austin Hooper. I mean, it's crazy what's going on with Las Vegas. We could spend a whole 30 minutes talking about how bad Josh McDaniels is, but Michael Mayer is a good player. Let's see where it goes in the second half of the year. Luke Musgrave, let's see where it goes in the second half of the year. And then if he's tight end eligible in your league, and I don't include him in my overall top 10 because there's many leagues where Taysom Hill is simply listed as a quarterback. But if he's listed as a tight end, he would be a top 5 addition this week. He's starting to get usage every single week. And he went back to his old ways where he had 63 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. He also caught a pass. The pass catching was shown the previous 2 weeks. So Taysom Hill is definitely an interesting one. Deep league managers like FFPC managers, tight end premium managers, Connor Hayward, who's available in 100% of Yahoo leagues. He had season highs in targets with 6, receptions with 5. He's a thing, I think, until Pat Freiermuth gets back. Again, 6 targets and 5 receptions at the tight end position. We cannot ignore that. Donald Parham. Donald Parham is still a part-time player. It's not like with Gerald Everett missing, Parham saw like this insane snap share. But when he's on the field, he's utilized, and he's a big-time red zone threat. Donald Parham now has 4 touchdown catches on the season. He's a dice roll start against the Jets and then at home against Detroit. Detroit has been generous against tight ends, but Donald Parham's a guy where if you're really, really stuck at tight end and you need just an upside play, Donald Parham can find the end zone. He's shown you that with 4 touchdown catches on the year. Cade Otton. Cade Otton is like my new Tyler Conklin. He's my break glass in case of emergency option at tight end. He has 12 targets and 9 catches the last 2 games, and he's on the field a lot. If you need a bye week fill-in or an injury replacement, he's a low ceiling option. He also has a low floor, but he has a floor. I used Cade Otton in a league last week. I got the win. I didn't feel right, but I got the win with Cade Otton. If you're in a mess at tight end and you're really, really stuck, he's one to consider. Daniel Bellinger. Bellinger will be an every down tight end for the Giants if Darren Waller misses time. We'll learn more about Waller soon, but Waller's had hamstring issues in the past. My overall top 10, Trey McBride, easy, number 1. Demario Douglas, number 2. I have him ahead of Khalil Shakir, and Shakir comes in there at number 3. You're going to see some waiver wire podcasts and columns listing Shakir higher. To me, I know the volume is going to be there for Demario Douglas, despite the quality of the offense. But both of them are going to make the top 3. Leonard Fournette comes in at number 4. Strong addition this week. Chance for the goal line work in Buffalo. A chance to take away a little bit of passing down work as well. Playoff Lenny could be back before we know it. Pierre Strong, number 5. Love his contingent upside with a bunch of banged up backs around him. Will Levis at number 6. I want to see where this ride goes. Devin Singletary, number 7. Royce Freeman, number 8. Jonathan Mingo, number 9. And Michael Wilson, number 10. Stick with us here at Player Profiler. I'm going to be dropping videos like this all week long. Read my waiver wire column at playerprofiler.com. I'm going to link it right here in the video you're watching. And let's crush it this week. It's almost November. Time to get some W's. Happy Halloween. Let's get some wins.